and what made it possible. They were good in not just one area or two areas, but they were good in a ton of aspects of this game that made it possible for them. So I said winning a state title is pretty amazing and special. Few of us get a chance to be a part of something like this. But kick the special up a few notches when you consider that they won it defeating the teams that we had in our half of the bracket. We met that Monday before state, and by then everyone had seen that draw, and nobody was too happy about it. I'm sure some of you appreciated it, kind of went, really? Wow. But I think it was Michaela who said something like, well, here's the deal, if by winning it through our half of the bracket, we'll leave no doubt. And that's what we did. Kick it up another notch by winning it in come from behind fashion against our last three opponents. Down a set in the quarterfinals to Meade, down in set 4, 24-22 against Jackson in the semis, down 2-1 and 8-3 in the fifth. In the championship versus Kentwood. That's all remarkable stuff, and to do it in a state tournament, match after match after match. To get a perspective on those not familiar with volleyball, and to quote a leading volleyball guru in the United States when told our story via my email, there's nothing better, quote, there's nothing better than winning a championship in dramatic fashion. You definitely beat the odds being down 8-3. And by the way, this is from a statistical guru, as I said. This is statistically almost impossible. And they did it. They had a lethal combination of skills and the list of intangibles that I mentioned earlier. And they were so stinking competitive, they just wouldn't back down from anyone. And I'm going to let you in on a few inner circle items here. That quality of not backing down, that tenacity, our final character theme of the week. Well, Alex and Sadie were in the rotation for inspiration for the state tournament weekend. And they both did a fabulous job sharing with us on Friday before we left for that first match. And Sadie's miniature pillow pets went out to each person and then went with each person to the pavilion to every match, including the coaches' bags, because we didn't want to mess with the mojo. They were courtside every time. And Alex showed us a YouTube video depicting the very tenacious, and we saw a reference to it in the slides already, honey badger. And if you're not familiar with the honey badger, they relentlessly pursue their prey, even enduring a venomous snake bite to get their kill. At some point after that, Alex, her dad Mark, told us how he responded to that and watched it and said, Alex, are you really sure that you want the team to see this? Because gosh, you know, there's some killing in there and the whole snake and dying and all that stuff, and you know, is the killing going to be too much? And Alex responded, it's fine, Dad, because we're dream killers. You might have noticed on a few occasions that you watch the state tournament during timeouts, we actually brought out the honey badger claws. It's time to go honey badger on this team. And we were doing that at the huddle. So it was just a reminder to be tenacious. I want to share what I read to the team before the Jackson match and the championship match. I waited all season for what seemed like the right time to read this to the team. And I was just overcome by the sense that I was supposed to keep waiting and waiting. Finally, there was just 2 matches left, and that time was there. And I had made reference to, during the season, to this book that I'd read the previous spring about a small town basketball team in Montana, and how this team had been losers for years. And each new season, the small town would hang its hopes on the chance that maybe this year would be different. Well, things occurred that led to the hiring of a new coach, a teacher who just arrived at the school. They had 2 pretty good players, one who was a great basketball player, a very good transfer player, and along with a never played basketball before giant exchange student. And their coach brought them along, helped them to improve, but they had only 5 players, this small town. And they went on this journey and tried to improve enough to get to this place where they could compete in the state championships. And so they made it there. But along the way, this 5-player team included a scrawny non-player, and his role was just kind of run circles around everybody because he was fast. His name, I can't remember his name, Dean, I think was his name. And so at this point, the team had some success, and the coach, Sam, is starting to have some doubts about getting everyone's hopes up about where this team could go. And he's speaking to his girlfriend, who also happens to be the assistant coach. And they both had some major challenges in their past, and that sets the scene for this, which I shared before we went out to take on Jackson. If I can. Well, she said, well, it has to start with the everyday risk of getting your heart broken, like daring to hope and believe in the boys. How many times have these boys had their hearts broken? How many times? But they keep playing with their hearts the way you taught them. Sam, you're afraid to take a chance, afraid to hope, to commit. Maybe I'll have my heart broken again and again, but I know I have to keep trying like the boys, because if I don't, I've given my chance at life away. I know I might have another horrid mistake, and the people I love could leave me, and I'll go through that terrible black hole, that awful loneliness and sorrow. But if I don't live with my heart, if I don't live with passion, I've already died. And of course you're going to lose again. Of course you'll be crushed with sadness again. But the joy you have in the risking, no matter how short, is far greater than the sadness. And so that conversation took place as they prepared to enter the tournament. And this was a pre-match, and I'm going to paraphrase it for our situation, talk that the coach gave before they went out to take on this school that had this great amount of success in the state tournament. And so, team, we're here to fight the dragon tonight, together. But the dragon is not the Jackson Timberwolves, a bunch of hardworking girls just like you with families and boyfriends and pet dogs, doing their best to win for their families and their school and their town. The dragon you face is the voice in your heart that whispers, you're losers. The dragon you face is the fear in your guts that tells you to quit, to give up. It's the softness in your spirit that tempts you to surrender your dreams, to lie down and accept defeat politely. Those are the dragons that will rear their ugly heads tonight, the beasts who beguile us to be something less than we can be. Sorry. Sam paused, scanning their faces. We're not going out tonight to beat the other team. The scrawny one, Dean, squeaked. We're not? No, we're going out to play better than we ever have before. To play beyond our physical limitations, to play above our God-given talent, to play harder and higher and longer than we ever have before. We're going out there to live not as life is, but as it should be. If we each do this, every one of us, then it won't matter if we win the game, because we'll have defeated the dragons. But I can promise you that if we play that way, we will win the game. And I'll be honest with you, we didn't play to our best ability in that match. It was not our best match of the tournament. It was probably not even one of our best matches of the season. But what they did bring to that match was all those other things, all the stuff that made the difference. And you could see it in their faces when they took the court and when they changed sides of the net. They were doing all those other things, and because they were, and their effort was there, all those other things came into place anyway. That's why I coach. So, last little piece is, before the Kentwood match, I read this, and this is also from the book. It's like the championship match. When I had cottonmouth, even though I was drinking all the time. Cottonmouth does affect this here. Sam sensed something new about them, something he couldn't put his finger on. It was the way they treated each other. Not that they had ever been callous or cold, but it was as though they had discovered in each other with fresh insight. Had come to respect one another in a new way, like those who had come through pain and disappointment together, only to find the joy of their comradeship a much greater gift. Something magical had happened between them, something rare, an unspeakable bond to finish what they had started. We talk a lot about staying in the moment in our program, not dwelling on the last play or looking ahead at what might happen next. So this is what I read to them before we left that locker room. Finally it dawned on him. What in the heck was Sam Pickett